Hello, good evening, and welcome to another edition of Good Evening Ghana. We have had many special editions, but this one is particularly special because we have an important global icon here in Ghana, and we are very privileged for the opportunity to speak tonight to Sir Richard Branson of Virgin Atlantic, and of many things, actually. Good evening, sir. Thank you very much for coming. It's a pleasure that you're on this program, and we are happy to let you know that on this program we have shared platforms with Jeffrey Sachs, we have shared platforms with Paul Adom-Otchere and Nobel laureate V.S. Naipaul and others. But we are particularly happy that you are here because of what you represent in business. A lot of these people are public affairs and public people, but we are happy that you have, through business, become an international icon. So this is a very important day for us. And I'd like to start with what surprised me about your early interest in Africa as a student when you wrote your now famous magazine, that you said that the magazine was a campaign platform against Vietnam and against Biafra in Nigeria. It indicates that your geopolitical thinking was sharpened very early. Why were you, at that age, under 20 years, soon after colonialism had ended, interested in Africa and Nigeria for that matter?
Well, I'm against conflict, period. And the Vietnamese War was a completely unnecessary war. Even Robert McNamara, who actually started the war with Lyndon B. Johnson, his deathbed confession last year was to say he should have been prosecuted for the War Crimes Tribunal for starting the war. Biafra, again, was a horrible, horrible war. And you know, the Biafran people wanted to have their own independent state. And it was suppressed in a horrible way, and you know, children were killed, mothers were killed, and therefore we set up the magazine to try to campaign against conflicts, because you know, if you have conflicts, nothing works. The education system works, the health system breaks down, everything breaks down.
So you've continued to be against conflict?
Of course. I mean, you know, I think. You know, most conflicts are started by one or two people with big egos at the top of a country. You know, business people, you know, get into conflict with other, and there are lawyers that sort out the problems. You know, with conflicts, you know, people get themselves into, you know, difficult situations. There's no one there to, you know, to intervene to try to stop a conflict. The person who feels strongest most likely starts a war. Most wars are completely unnecessary, and very often they get out of hand. So in this day and age, you know, there should not be war. War should be a thing of the past.
Do you get the sense that the world is doing more to minimize conflict that happened during the Biafra War? Do you get the sense that that's happening?
I think that there are more people now trying to avoid conflict than there were, and you know, we've been involved in setting up an organization called the Elders with Nelson Mandela, Kofi Annan from your wonderful country, you know, Archbishop Desmond Tutu, Gracia Machel, Nelson Mandela's wife, and 12, you know, wonderful elders.
I'll come to the issue of the Elders, but let's talk some business now. And a lot of the ink that has been written about you has been the analyzing the Virgin business philosophy. And in your latest book, The Business Trip Bear, you endorse the philosophy and you present a defense about the business philosophy. And you say that Virgin would be able to survive the global financial crisis because of the diversity of its business. And my question really is, do you think that emerging markets like Ghana can benefit from the diversity of multinational businesses like yours? And is that why you are adding Ghana to show the way that emerging markets have a time right now?
Yeah, look, I think that international brands like Virgin can, you know, can help in countries like Ghana. And you know, I mean, I think the fact that Virgin Atlantic today started competing with British Airways on the Ghanaian route to London, you know, that will drive the cost of cargo down, the cost of fares down. It'll make the quality of the flights better because there'll be more competition. You know, that's a positive thing. At the same time, I think it's incredibly important that most of the businesses in Ghana are run by Ghanaians, so that and not by big international businesses. But I think international businesses like Virgin can help Ghanaians locally. If it's exploring an oil well, or if it's building hotels for hopefully the flux of tourists coming in, then I think international businesses can help Ghanaians getting on their feet.
A lot of Ghanaian entrepreneurs will be excited with what you've just said, but let me ask you, Sir Branson, do you have in the medium term an intention to float shares of your company on the local stock exchange? Is it part of your plans?
I think we're going to have to do a bit more work in Ghana before we would consider floating something in Ghana. But we're certainly open to suggestions from Ghanaians to see if they'd like to partner with Virgin on anything from mobile phones through to to hotels, through to exploration of minerals or whatever. If we feel we can bring something to it, we're certainly open to partnerships.